Another night, another disastrous second half for the Washington Wizards on defense. For a team that preached that it'd be competitive on defense this year, we're not seeing it.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
DC family, you are locked on to the Washington Wizards. We're part of our family. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe and join the DC family to stay up to date Monday through Fridays on your Washington Wizards. Alongside the DC Sports content creating savant Adbullah, Ayubi, I'm Ben Strober, and I cover all things DC Sports for 106.7 The Fan and the Team 980. Wizards dropped this one 119-102 at the world-famous Madison Square Garden. Wizards losers of 5 in a row now. AB, another really tough night. Defensively, that third quarter, disastrous for the Wizards, giving up 41 points.
Yeah, it was a tough night. It was a tough weekend, Ben, for you and I. And the DMV in general. I know your Terps got embarrassed in homecoming. I'm sorry about that, Ben. You were there in person for that. And the Commanders, I don't even want to talk about it. And the Wizards getting blown out at home in Charlotte. The fight in the first quarter against New York, I loved it. They were up 30-22, but in the third, you let up 41. In the second, you let up 35. And the talent gap, that's just the common thing that we're going to see throughout the season, Ben. I understand this team, we're young. There's going to be mistakes. The turnovers tonight, Washington had 20, New York's 12. But, Ben, like you mentioned in the intro, this whole offseason, going into this season, it was about we were going to play fast. We're going to be a team that is very tenacious defensively. So far, I mean, can we really attest to that? Like, at one point, are we just doing lip service as an organization? And I love this Wizard squad, but the rotations, Ben, and Chris Middleton was out tonight, so it was exciting to see JC out there. Didn't produce much, but at the end of the day, it's good to see JC guys like him, young guys, play. But it's just it's concerning, Ben, because at some point, Wizards fans are asking us, like, how much can we hype up this team in a way of we're going to play better defensively if what's happening on the court is not happening?
Yeah, the results will have to speak for themselves in terms of actually being a more competitive team defensively. And you could really see at times today where this Wizards team in the third quarter especially just fell apart. Everything wasn't moving in sync offensively. They started rushing. They were turning it over like crazy, as you mentioned. And it just seems to be a common theme with this team where they just can't play a complete game. The Wizards can't play a complete game right now. They have these short bursts where you see your young talent really prospering. You gave up only 22 points in the first quarter and shot 75% from the field. And obviously 75% from the field is not sustainable offensively. But you're playing good team defense in that first quarter. The second quarter, you take a bit of a step back. You give up 35. And then you just let the wheels come off the track. 41 points in the third quarter for New York. And then by that point, the game was already over. You only give up 119 points, which looks like an improvement, but it's really not, because this Wizards team had given up through the first 5 games of the season 125 plus in 4 of those games. So if you're preaching defense, the results are not showing for that. And it doesn't really make sense in the way the team can be as bad as they are defensively, just because you have guys that can legitimately provide you talent on the wing defensively. You get Koulibaly back, who's playing really well. Just to start things off here, I want to put that out there that Bilal has continued to really impress me since he's returned. Keyshawn George, I know he's had the issue where he's defended with fouling being the issue for him. That wasn't necessarily the issue for him tonight. But team defense has been really hard to come by, especially when you get in these bursts where you see New York start to go on its run. A 17-0 run today in the third quarter was really all the Knicks needed to put this one
Also,
away.
Ben, sorry to cut you off, but at what point during that run do you call a timeout? 17 points?
I mean, they only had one timeout left after Key finally called the timeout. So like there wasn't
that's a good point.
There wasn't really much to work with at that point they just had to find a way to string together a stop somehow. And I mean, it's all because of how bad the shot selection was too in the third quarter. Bad offense leads to bad defense because the Wizards have really, really struggled to play transition defense. They haven't moved well in a string. They're allowing wide open 3-point shooters throughout the the course of the game. Yeah, it started off really slow for the Knicks in terms of shooting the three ball in the first half, but once they got hot, there was no chance for Washington because you're just allowing way too many guys to get open on the perimeter. They were struggling to defend the pick and pop with Karl Anthony Towns early on in this game, and he feasted tonight, AB. He really did.
Yeah, he was giving Alex Sarr a lot of trouble early on. But Ben, Alex Sarr took it and said, hey, I'm going to also hit you up with my game. Alex Sarr tonight had a career-high 7 assists, so that's one positive that we'll get to later on in the stream. But yeah, Karl Anthony Towns finished with 33 points. 13 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. I mean, he was doing what he was wanted to do. Jalen Brunson with 16. Honestly, thought he was going to be the one to pop off. But, again, this Knicks squad, they're deep, and they're going to make a playoff push this upcoming year in the playoffs. But at the end of the day, again, the competitiveness, that's the capital C word, Ben. Like, how many times a year are we going to keep talking about it and say this team needs to be competitive? And that's what we were hoping for. Again, it's not about the wins, as Drew Gooden said. When the Wizards were down by 20, it's what can you do out there defensively when you're down by 20? Who's going to step up and play the passing lanes? Who's going to step up and help with help side? It's all those things combined together, and I'm just hoping that they find a way to get this defensive-minded mindset they were going into the season and actually implement it into this what's happening right now in 5-game losing streak. This schedule is tough, don't get me wrong. But again, you have to figure out a way to be competitive and play all 4 quarters. Not just one, all 4 quarters. And again, New York 17-0 run, it was just, that hurt, Ben.
Mm-hmm. Well, remember how many times over the summer, AB, we said no more 15-game losing streaks? They're a third of the way to one right now. So hopefully they can get something together. And yeah, there have been plenty of positives to take away through the first 6 games as well, including the development of guys like Alex Sarr. I really want to touch on that in the second segment. Before I really get to all the positives with Alex Sarr, I just want to put one thing out there about his defense. Obviously, another 2 blocks tonight. He's leading the NBA right now in multi-block games, which is great to see out of your second-year big. But one thing that we've seen with Alex Sarr is that's still going to be a work in progress when it comes to defending these big physical centers in the NBA like Karl Anthony Towns, because Alex Sarr, yeah, he's put on some weight here before year number 2, but still has a ways to go before he can reach his true peak in terms of physicality. Just a big night for Karl Anthony Towns tonight. He ended up finishing with 33 points. He was a plus 13 on 12 of 24 shooting. And there were some of those moments, I think back to the first half specifically, where Karl Anthony Towns, he gets his back to the basket on Sarr, and he's just got a big size advantage. The physicality is there. He took Sarr right to the rim and punched it home on him. And things like that are going to get better for Alex Sarr as his career goes on, but this is the kind of night where you have that matchup with a player that's that talented offensively like Towns and has that much of a physical advantage on the guy. And you could really see where Sarr struggled in terms of actually getting it done defensively from that realm. He still defended at the rim decently well when he got the opportunities to defend, whether he was coming over in the help side or in other situations. But that's a really tough matchup to ask for a guy like Sarr that still needs a little bit more time to go before he can really hit his true peak in physicality. The weight room's going to do wonders for this kid and Alex Sarr. And, maybe down the line, a couple of years from now, maybe Sarr is playing the 4 for this team. They have another really big, physically imposing big that could actually take some of the weight off of the shoulders for Alex Sarr to have those tough assignments. But I don't know. It's way too early to tell what the Wizards are going to do as an organization at that point or how Alex Sarr is going to develop in terms of his physicality. But he's making strides for sure in actually being a more physical player. Tonight, it's just a matter of he doesn't have the physical presence quite yet to be an elite level defender against a guy like Karl Anthony Towns.
And Karl Anthony Towns is a top 5 center in this league, Ben. I think it was a good test for our young French kid, and it is what it is. You're going to have to learn from it. Talking about another guy, Ben, I know we talked about Alex Strober, we'll talk about him later, but Bob Carrington tonight, it just was not good. 0 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 turnovers. For me, Ben, 4 personal fouls as well for Bob. The Bob Carrington conversation, what will his role be here in Washington? Ideally, it's going to be a 6-man role because, you think we've seen enough when it comes to him playing the point guard position, because a lot of fans don't even want to talk about that. They just want to get a point guard the next draft class. I just wanted to get your thoughts on Bub.
He's got to find a way to get his confidence back because I can see it in his offensive game. I can see in the way he dribbles the basketball. I can see in the shots he's put up, in the body language. He doesn't have the same level of confidence as an offensive player right now, and maybe that's because he got thrown into the role early on in the season where the team asked him to be the point guard, and it's just something that maybe he's not cut out to be. I don't know. I think the jury's a little bit still out there for that. He's a young kid. He's going to develop in that role as the season goes on. But at this point, he does need to find a way to get some of his confidence back. And even in one of the games that we covered in person, AB, where he was really struggling, did not have a field goal until the fourth quarter of the game. I think it was the Charlotte game. He finally hit a pull-up midi, and he blew a kiss to the sky, and you could see him kind of say, finally. And I wonder if we're going to see a performance where we're like, finally, this is the Bub Carrington that we saw offensively last year. This is the guy that could actually give you a solid 13 to 15 points off the bench in short spurts. But it's just really haven't seen that type of style of basketball from him because he hasn't really been able to create for himself. He hasn't been able to create for others. And that's ultimately kind of been the downfall of this Wizards offense at times, where you have a lineup where Bub's out there and maybe you don't have Keyshawn as the de facto point guard at times. I think we saw that lineup at one point in that third quarter. There's just nobody creating for the offense. And that was kind of what led to the downfall of this Wizards team throughout this game. I'm trying to pull up the notes right here of what I had from the third quarter. The Wizards were really bad offensively, especially in the beginning of the second half. They were settling for too many threes. There was a couple of opportunities where I saw Sarr actually had the mismatch with Shamet down low, and he's not getting the basketball. And is that a thing where, is that Keefe saying to his guys, you need to get the ball to your center when he has a mismatch down there? Or is that Alex Sarr not demanding the basketball enough? Or is it simply just a bad shot choice by this Wizards team? You see that, and it happens in spurts where you're taking bad shots into the shot clock. The ball is not moving enough, and it really plagues what you're trying to do offensively, and then you just get burnt in transition. They called a timeout at one point, and Chris Middleton, who did not play today due to an injury, and he came up to the bench and he told them, you guys need to move the ball more. When you're moving the ball side to side, you're finding open looks, you're making the defense move and rotate. And early on in the third quarter, they did not do that. And that's why they really struggled on both ends of the floor, AB.
Yeah, it was that third quarter just really hurt Washington. And it was good to see Corey Kispert, Ben. He had 15 points, 4 assists for a guy that I'm always harping on and saying that he is going to be a trade candidate at the deadline. He performed really well. And Bilal, 15.7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. Ben, he doesn't look like he missed time. That injury just does not look like it's going to linger at all. He scored double digits in all 3 games that he's played. You love to see that. He's so freaking explosive. And just the combination of him and Keyshawn, offensively, it's one thing, but defensively, that's, I think, a bigger matter. And I think that's something that I would love to see throughout the year, where if you have both those guys on the court defensively, how good are you defending the perimeter or just in general hands in the passing lane? But again, tonight, it was rough, Ben. This Knicks team, they're a really good team. It's just the talent gap and just the inefficiency, the turnovers, the points off turnovers. You put all those things together, and you're down by 30 at one point in this game, or was it 25, 20 points late in the third quarter?
Yeah, it's tough. When you give up a 17-0 run and you simply just fall behind big time in the third quarter, you're out of it at that point. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about Alex Sarr and what we've seen from his offensive game. He led the Wizards in scoring tonight. Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. You play for the win, not just on game day, every day, locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks, EFTs, options, features, and crypto, all in one platform. You can now build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood's Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood Strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. Basketball season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in the queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get super frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in, an app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NBA tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. I recently used Game Time to grab a pair of seats, and it couldn't have been more simple. I had great seats within minutes. I love that what you see is what you pay. No hidden fees at checkouts. Plus, I could see exactly what my view looked like before I bought the tickets with their in-app seat view feature. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go with Game Time. All right, another pretty impressive night for Alex Sarr offensively in 30 minutes played. It's good to see him finally kind of off that minutes restriction. 8 of 16 from the field, did not make a three-pointer in his 3 tries, but he put up 19 points and 8 rebounds. Alex Sarr showed aggressiveness and physicality. He took it to the chest of Karl Anthony Towns, which you love to see. And the way Drew Gooden phrased it in the broadcast is really kind of the perfect way to coin how Alex Sarr has developed his offensive game this year. It's because he's always carrying his momentum forward instead of going away from the basket. And I got a little bit worried on the first possession of the game, if I'm going to be honest, because it started off with an Alex Sarr touch, which I like to see. I love when the Wizards try to get him involved early. And he took kind of a bad fadeaway shot from 14 feet away to begin the game. So I was like, all right, well, hopefully we don't see a whole lot of that. But about midway through the first quarter, we started to see that aggressive nature of Alex Sarr get going. He had a couple plays where, one, you see him operate out of the pick and roll. He gets an opportunity to go up against Cat, who's, one, not a very good defender at this point in his career. I think we know how good Karl Anthony Towns is as an offensive player. We saw that tonight. He made life difficult on Alex Sarr trying to defend him. But he's not a very good defender, and he's not very good at defending out of the pick and roll. I think Sarr at times took advantage of that. And the one specific offensive play I really liked when he got it in the painted area, took it right in the chest of Cat, drew the contact, and finished through it. That's the kind of basketball that you want to see Alex Sarr play. And he's just been so stout in terms of his development, trying to get the shot diet better, trying to improve that physicality. Because good things happen when you live around the rim, when you're a 7-footer. Chances are, if you're a big guy, if you have a guy that cannot defend you the way Karl Anthony Towns couldn't at times in this game, you're going to draw contact, you're going to draw a foul, or you're going to have an easy chance to finish. The way Alex Sarr has revitalized that part of his game gives me a ton of confidence going forward. And just think about it. This guy, he put up about 11 pounds in the offseason. He's got a lot more weight to gain. I'll say that. He's not even 21 years old. I don't think he turns 21 until the spring. So this dude is going to develop in many, many different facets of his basketball career. But the physicality standpoint, if he can put on another 20 pounds or something in the next 2 years, man, you're going to be looking at a really good offensive player. And I'll keep on saying it again. We don't know what the future holds in terms of his positional flexibility. Maybe he's playing at the 4 long term. Maybe he's playing at the 5. Who knows? But I think there's a lot of great qualities to his offensive game that continue to get better here just by going downhill. Always clean your momentum forward.
Yeah, and Ben, to be honest, this whole debate of what position he's better at, I don't care what, but he can play point guard. As long as you're excelling on the court, so be it. But going back to Alex Sarr, the points in the paint, Ben, those shots, I love it. Again, you always reiterate the fact that the shot diet needs to get better from year 1 to year 2. And one thing that he's also gotten better at, Ben, is when he gets the ball in the paint, he doesn't seem flustered. He is patient at times, pump fakes, draws the defense up, and gets an and one or dunks the ball, which I love it. There was one play where I think it was Deuce McBride who fell for a pump fake and then held him down. That was low-key scary. I was like, be careful. And I think it led to a flagrant one. Just seeing small things like that for a year 2 kid who many people last year were just questioning his ability to play basketball, and now there's a possibility where he might be a top 3 Wizard on this roster right now. You just really love to see it, and I genuinely think you have a star in Sarr, and give it a year or 2, and I think he could be a top 5, top 7 center in this league, or power forward, whatever position you want to put him in.
Yeah, at this point, if he's playing the 5, he's playing the 4, as long as you're getting it done, he's finding ways to get better as a rebounder. Offensive rebounds were a problem tonight. I don't know, some of that will fall on Alex Sarr, obviously, as the big guy on the floor, but this is a Wizards basketball team that was not constructed to be a good rebounding team. whatsoever. They gave up 12 offensive rebounds, plenty of second chance opportunities for the New York Knicks. As we said, seems kind of intentional for what the expectations, what the goals were for this Wizards team this year. Like, simply, I don't know. They were not built to play a complete game defensively, is what I'd argue right here. And I know you have talented pieces that can play defense for this Wizards team, but overall, they don't have the ability to play a complete game defensively. They go through these short spurts where they can play pretty well. They make life difficult on the other team, but we have not seen this team have the ability to play a full 48 minutes of cohesive, complementary basketball. It just hasn't happened. I don't know when it's going to happen. Maybe the Mavericks game is the only example you could say where they played really well for, I'd say, 3/4 of that game. First quarter wasn't great in the Dallas game, but that was probably the most complete game they've played, and that's the only game they won. But they had plenty of opportunities to actually steal some of these games through the first 6 here, but instead you're on a 5-game losing streak, and that's just how it is right now for this Wizards team, 1-6.
Yeah, again, this is what we were afraid of going into the season, where you're having a potential double-digit game losing streak. But I think this Wizards squad can somehow find a way and just identity. I was talking about the post-game show, Ben, against the Orlando Magic. I was talking about identity crisis, and like I mentioned earlier, going into the season, it was about we're going to play fast, we're going to defense, but it just hasn't been the case. And the ball movement, the lack of ball movement, I really thought a young team like this can play fast and get the ball down the court as fast as possible, fast break points, but I don't know. And I thought that the squad would look a little different rotations-wise, offensively, the ball movement with Chris Middleton being out the lineup, because Wizards fans were saying that he was taking up a lot of those shots. And CJ McCollum tonight, very, I think, inefficient with only 5 points. Terrible again. Yeah, you put it blunt. I
can't sugarcoat it.
Yeah, I know, you're right. It's a good way to put it. It's just, I don't know how to put this, Ben. Like, this Wizard squad, is there I was thinking about it, Ben. Right now you're 1-6, right? Or 1-5?
1-6.
1-6. My prediction of winning 23 games. I'm just looking at it right now, saying, "Are we gonna hit 15?" And maybe I'm over exaggerating, but it's just frustrating, man. Because again, we were literally texting each other mid game. Like, you texted me in the first quarter, we were up. Like, how are we gonna blow this? And I'm like, we'll see. And clearly it was in the third quarter.
I think I text you, how are we going to end up losing this game by 30?
Oh, sorry.
And
thank you.
They were on the way to doing that. Ultimately, they had a pretty decent last couple minutes of the game there, so that didn't end up happening. They only lose this one by 17. But still, I think the point applies that this team doesn't have an identity right now, and the second half collapses have been a real big problem in terms of defensive play. If you're giving up 41 points in a quarter, you're never going to be successful, because you're already pretty much guaranteed at this point for the Wizards how they are defensively. You're giving up at least 70 in that half alone. So you're never really going to give yourself a chance to win these games. And I know, like, wins and losses are not the thing that dictates it, but they haven't taken a step forward as a team defensively yet. Maybe that's going to happen as the season goes on. That's what we're trying to wonder. What's the fix here for these guys to get better defensively? Let's continue to chew on this conversation when we come back here on Locked On Wizards. Let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just, I'm stressed, or I'm tired, or it happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. And that's where Rougiet comes in. Rougiet offers fast-acting doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rougiet makes it to get started. You just connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, no awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA to get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnNBA so they know that we sent you. Rougiet, stop making excuses and start making moves. So, trying to figure out, like, how this Wizards team can find a fix defensively. Like, are we seeing it as an effort thing? Are they just really showing an inability to rotate defensively? They're not defending the perimeter well. at all. And the Knicks were cold from the three-point line through the first quarter of this game where they started 2 for 10. Let me pull up the final numbers for it right here. New York in this one ends up going 15 of 41, so just under 37% from behind the arc. But in the second half, they really started to take off as a team, shooting the three ball. And when the other team shoots 75% in the third quarter, AB, something is very wrong with your defense. I know they're hot, but 75% is what the Knicks shot in the third quarter. The Wizards, on the other hand, shot around 26%. So it goes to show you how overmatched this team was in the third quarter of that game. And that's just kind of been a theme for this Wizards team through the first 7 games of the season here. There's plenty of time to go, and I think they can make adjustments and maybe some fixes, maybe some lineup rotations are due for this Wizards team at some point. But it's just frustrating to see them have this inability to find an identity because they can't play a complete game.
Yeah, and I hate to admit it, Ben, but like you mentioned, that first quarter, New York did miss a lot of open shots. Still had an 8-point lead, but that third quarter, I mean, that 17-0 run, New York just wasn't missing, and Washington just kept turning the ball over. Again, the lack of ball movement was really killing DC, and I just don't. What's the fix? That's the one thing that I don't know. And is it the lack of having a true point guard? I mean, for me, if in a night where Alex Sarr is doing his own thing, just find a way to give him more touches. Bilal was doing his thing from the 3-point, from beyond the arc, man. I mean, he looked nice from. I think he had an and 1-3 as well, and just. Offensively, the identity crisis, I'm hoping it's not going to be a common theme here throughout the season. And again, going back to another guy, Cam Whitmore, Ben, I want to see his role expand here, but going back to the whole debate of his position here in Washington, what his future will be like, will he be here long term? Always going back and forth on that. And then CJ McCollum, Chris Middleton. How would you do you think, Ben, like right now, as of right now, I know it's a little too early, but how would you assess the two? Like right now, if you were to trade them, what would you get for them?
For McCollum and Middleton?
Yeah.
I don't think you could trade those guys at this current, unless you're taking on a disastrous contract, which I think will end up being the case anyway if a team is desperate to move off those guys to get asset for them, just because what has CJ McCollum shown that a team would really be that interested? I mean, maybe you could say the situation in Washington isn't necessarily right for the guy or something right now, but you can't use that as an excuse. He's 2 for 9 from the field, 1 for 6 from beyond the arc. CJ McCollum just has not shown the ability to score the basketball the same way he did.
And this has been the same CJ that dropped 50 on us last season.
He said he told us at media day that he was in better shape than he was last year at that point, but we have not seen that. I thought, honestly, in the first quarter, when you see Middleton not out there for this team and they're moving the ball really well offensively, they're shooting very efficiently, I was kind of like, I don't know, maybe like there's something to be said about the lineup looking a little bit better, a little more fluid without Middleton on the floor. But, you know, things end up falling apart again the way they did in the third quarter just because it just becomes an identity thing. This team doesn't know who it wants to be when it comes to offensive style of basketball. And bad offensive possessions lead to even more bad possessions on the defensive side, and it just killed the Wizards today.
I was about to say, I'm looking at some of these comments. Trae Young and Walker Kessler are on the way. I mean, at this point. By the way, Ben, do you think John Morant's going to get traded? This is a side note since we're almost done.
I've been seeing that floating around. I haven't read too much into it yet, but
we need a point guard. I'm just joking. Imagine Ja here at DC.
I don't know, man. It'd be kind of fun, though.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to be traded to contender. I mean, he had arguably his worst game as a Grizzly, and the way he's going to be suspended for a game, I think he is on his way out of Memphis.
Yeah, it's crazy that that downfall is finally happening in Memphis. I mean, it's kind of been like a ticking time bomb with him, all the issues he's had off the court throughout the first, how many years he's been in the league now, like 4 or 5. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's been tough for the guy, and it'll be interesting to see if he does get dealt and where he goes.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. Boston coming up on Wednesday. Jaylen Brown, I mean, I think that's still a game where you should be competitive, Ben, but every time we play Boston, it's just a one-sided rivalry.
Apparently, the Celtics want to get a top 3 pick just as bad as we do.
I promise you, Ben, if somehow they land with a top 3 pick, we're rioting. We're going. We're gonna have to book an appointment with Adam Silver and just talk to him 1-on-1 and be like, yo, like, or 2-on-1 and say, like, what's up with this, man? Why don't you like us, man?
Hopefully the Wizards don't see that kind of luck. The way it's looking right now, the Wizards, I don't think are going to have issues keeping that top 8 pick if they continue to play the way they have defensively in the second half of these games. But at the same time, we do want to see the team compete a little bit more, AB. That's all I got for you, man.
Yeah, I wanted to say, we're not we won a game. Is New Orleans still winless, right?
Unless they won, I don't think they played today, so I think they still are winless.
So that's a positive. In the way of saying, look at what they're doing with not having a first-round pick for next year, and they haven't won a game yet. You know, I hate comparing
that's
scenarios,
real hell.
But that's a tough situation right there. And for Jordan Poole calling out Wizards fans and saying there's not a product or there's not a good amount of fan base during home games, I'm just saying. That's the last time I'm gonna talk about that situation. But
all right, well, we'll just make that the last comment, I guess, of the night here. Tough one. Wizards dropped this one 119-102. Defensive issues persistent for this Wizards team. Still lacking in identity. We're only 7 games in, still plenty of time to go. See if this team can find a way to really compete, especially on the defensive side, like they said they would the whole offseason. We haven't seen that yet, but maybe the time will come at some point in the season. I don't know. It's not looking good for that right now, but gotta look at the positives. Gotta look at the developments that we've seen from a lot of these guys. So that'll do it for us here on Locked On Wizards today. We want to thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. For your second, check out the Locked On NBA Fantasy Basketball Podcast, hosted by Josh Lloyd. Wizards fans, you got to stick with us, man. I know it's a long ride, a long season, and sometimes you're going to have nights like this where it's frustrating, but got to look on the bright side of these things. For my co-host, Abdullah Ayubi, I'm Ben Strober, DC family. We're out of here.